Hello, my name is Shalisa, and I am presenting my webinar. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. First, I want to talk about linguistics. Linguistics is the study of language. It is very important in learning and in literacy for young students. It is when they have the ability to think about the language that they're actually speaking and when they are able to manipulate the language. So that is what linguistics is. So I'm going to start with phonology. The definition of phonology is the study of sound structure of the spoken words. So when students hear these sounds in a actual word. So for instance, when you give a student a word such as cat, when they have phonology skills, they're able to understand that that word has three different sounds, k, at, and then t. So that is phonology. And then phonology is actually connected to linguistics in that you need to first be able to hear the sounds and understand the sounds before you can move to actually understanding the full aspects or the full scope of the English language. So that is how phonology is connected to linguistics. Next is pragmatics. Pragmatics is the ability to speak appropriately, to use words in context, to be able to understand what word goes with what in what conversation. So when students get older, they will need pragmatics when they are applying for jobs, when they have to start writing essays and papers. They have to be able to connect the language in order to where it makes sense. So pragmatics is just a way of communicating appropriately, knowing how to use words in the right context. And that is very important when it comes to linguistics because they're going to have to be able to relate words to their real world, to the real world situation. So that is a part of manipulating the language. All right, next is morphology. Morphology is the study of base words, roots, prefixes, suffixes. My first graders are just getting into root words, so I'm just beginning to teach them. They have a basic concept of what a root word is after I prompt them and give them examples. But morphology is very important when they start getting into comprehension. It helps them to learn how to use words. And so, for instance, in first grade, morphology. The level of morphology that we're using in first grade is inflectional endings. So they're learning when to use words with an S on the end, with an ES on the end, with the ED on the end, with the ING on the end of the word. So they're learning when to use those words. And we tie that into our grammar unit. So morphology is very important with linguistics because, again, they have to spell more. In linguistics, part of linguistics is the ability to be able to spell. And so morphology is going to help them with learning how to build a word, how to put a prefix on a word, take it off, and how to manipulate words using prefixes, root words, and endings. Next is syntax. Syntax is a set of principles that dictate the sequence of words in a sentence. So sentence structure. That is an activity that I do with my students almost daily. They do it in the morning if they have extra time. I give them some cards and they have to put the sentence together. That is syntax. They have to learn how sentences are supposed to look. That is going to help when they not begin because my students are already writing narratives. And so they need to know the structure of a sentence. They need to know where to put the capital letters, where the punctuation goes in the sentence, and at the end of the sentence, how to use commas and apostrophes. So syntax is how to use sentences in variation and how to what order your sentences should be in. All right, and then the last one is semantics. Semantics is the aspect of understanding. It's the aspect of language concerned with the meaning. Like, what does this mean? From when you read a sentence, being able to understand what that sentence means. And that is a part of, again, linguistics when it comes to reading comprehension. A part of linguistics is understanding what you read. And semantics is the aspect that helps students comprehend what they read. All right, so explain why it is important to understand these components of linguistics with students with exceptionality. So I had two reasons. The first reason that I did a little research on, according to the coloringcolorado.com, there is a trend where students are being over and under identified in special education, which means students are sometimes being put in education when they shouldn't be. And I'm going through that right now with a student. And then they are under identified, meaning they need special education and they're not being. So I believe that when we understand how linguistics play a part in literacy, we will know what to look for. And so students will be identified appropriately. And then the second reason is students with exceptionalities, they already have something that is holding them, that is hindering their academic process. So for instance, my daughter is 4, she's on the spectrum, she has a speech delay, and therefore getting her intense linguistic instruction is important because I want her to grow. I want her to test out of special education eventually so that she can go to college. So it is important that we identify these students appropriately and get them the services that they need so that they can catch up to their classmates or just do, be at the top of whatever level that they're on. And then lastly, the 2 to 3 instructional strategies that I use for literacy is one is explicit instruction. So when we're doing vocabulary, we do a whole lot of things with that word. I'm going to define it. I'm going to use it in examples. I'm going to use it in a sentence. I'm going to, as I learned in one of the videos for our discussion question, I'm going to act it out. I'm going to have the students to act it out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have them to do it. Guided practice. That's the last strategy, another strategy that I use. And for guided practice, I use these fluency readers. They come in 3 different levels. This is level A, B, and C, and they're different reading levels. On the back, they have a focus of everything that they're focused on: the phonetic concept, high frequency words, and decodable words. So each book has a different concept that they're focused on in the guide that I can help them to focus on in their guided practice. So that's my 2 strategies that I use. And I thank you. I just want to add 2 more things for my closing is tips on how to improve your child's vocabulary. 1, according to Reading Rockets said that if you read to your child every day, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it will improve their vocabulary. It will improve their vocabulary. Another thing, visit the library. I know we do everything electronically, but it is important to still visit the library and expose your child to different types of reading, different genres of reading, and different subjects. Thank you. I hope you've liked my video.